Weather and biological warfare waged by our own government against our own citizens is not theory, conjecture, or hypothesis. It's a historical fact and a verifiable reality for anyone who chooses to open their eyes, do some objective research, and look through a clear lens. Hurricane suppression patents and processes have been a reality for over 7 decades, starting with the U.S. military's Project Cirrus in 1947. Major U.S. hurricane landfalls have been suppressed or steered away from the mainland U.S. for over 4,300 days. The recent rash of catastrophic cyclone landfalls in the U.S. is not an act of nature, it's not an act of God. It's weather warfare being waged by the U.S. military and other related entities. Large cyclonic rotations are also occurring in other regions. All are, in one form or another, part of the incredibly complex climate engineering Manhattan Project going on all over the globe. Extremely powerful radio frequency microwave transmissions from land-based transmitters are a core component of climate and cyclone manipulation. Though we can speculate on the many agendas behind recent radical escalations in the ongoing covert weather warfare global assault, available data, including satellite imagery, proves that hurricanes and the weather as a whole are absolutely being manipulated with catastrophic results. Hurricane Maria is just the latest chapter in the covert weather warfare assault. Maria is visible in the center of this satellite loop, but also of interest are the massive convective zones visible elsewhere over the superheating seas. Why aren't there even more cyclones developing? With atmospheric aerosol dispersions and extremely powerful radio frequency transmissions, the weather makers decide what is allowed to develop into a cyclone, where it goes, what is broken up, and thus prevented from organizing. They decide. How are cyclones manipulated and steered when they are still well out to sea? Again, radio frequency microwave transmissions from dozens of ionosphere heater facilities like HAARP play a part by creating high and low pressure zones, which in turn can steer cyclones and storms. As Maria approached Puerto Rico, radio frequency microwave transmissions from a transmission source near Ponce, Puerto Rico, were visibly impacting the approaching storm. In the case of this record head-on landfall into Puerto Rico, what possible factors may those behind the curtain be motivated by? Will the U.S. military move back into Puerto Rico under a humanitarian aid pretext and then reestablish a military base there to make up for the one that they lost over a decade ago? It's no secret that the military-industrial complex in the American empire is desperate to expand everywhere it can. This excerpt from the book, The Basis of Empire, makes mention of the increased goal of the U.S. military for militarizing the Caribbean. How many countries has the U.S. military invaded and or otherwise occupied in the last century plus? The list is unimaginably long and continues to grow. Most Americans are unfortunately completely unaware of the long and dark history of the U.S. military's abuse of the Puerto Rican population and the environment on which their lives depend. Was Puerto Rico's refusal to be sprayed with dangerous neurotoxins under the guise of mosquito abatement in the past, toxins that are now being sprayed on Texas and Florida, was their refusal to allow this another factor in making them a target for weather warfare? Perhaps the bankruptcy of Puerto Rico was yet another factor that somehow played into the overall weather warfare agenda that's being carried out. Here's what's not speculation. Hurricane Maria, like Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Harvey, could have been dissipated with patented processes of cyclone suppression, just as has been the case with so many other Atlantic basin storms in recent history, over 4,300 days. But they weren't. These storms were not only allowed to spin up to full strength, they were steered and manipulated. And what about Hurricane Jose, the storm that just won't go away? Perhaps because it's providing a needed atmospheric moisture source that the climate engineers are using and utilizing for other aspects of their operations. Jose was kept from coming too close to shore with powerful blasts from radio frequency microwave transmitters in numerous locations, like this one near Binghamton, New York. In recent days, Other transmitters further south were also extremely active, like this one at Moody Air Force Base in Georgia. And there are still other transmitters, like this one near Wakefield, Virginia, which was also holding some of Hurricane Jose's moisture from migrating further inland. Global weather warfare is real, and it's now. Populations must face the fact that they are not only expendable to those in power, but are, in reality, a rapidly increasing liability. Populations and countries that are considered adversarial by the U.S. empire are repeated victims of weather cataclysms. Puerto Rico, Cuba, the Philippines, multiple Middle Eastern countries, all are only some examples of what any objective investigation indicates is weather warfare. The ongoing climate engineering operations are not only decimating the biosphere, these programs are contaminating every breath we take. The effort to expose and halt climate engineering must rationally be considered our most critical battle, and this effort will take all of us. Sharing credible climate engineering information with others who are not yet aware of what's occurring in our skies is crucial. Arm yourselves with credible data and help us to sound the alarm. This is Dane Wigington with geoengineeringwatch.org.